Hey, you are riding with Marshall once again, and we're going to talk about what else but the Rocket 3. I won't have it forever, but I will have it for a long time because it is all that. However, it's not all Red Roses Speedway. There are some issues, and I will point out these issues lest you buy one. So I already have a video called Before You Buy a Rocket 3. Well, this is Before You Buy a Rocket 3 Part 2. How about we consider that? And where else to talk about a Rocket 3 but in its native habitat, the windy, twisty roads of the mountains next to the beautiful river. So let's get on this, because this will be a short video. So one is a nitpick. Let's start with the nitpick of what I find after 5,000 miles on my Rocket 3. Now, I don't have some of the problems that other people have had. Other people have had a cracked glass up here. I don't have that issue. The minorest of issues is that there is so much torque to this machine that when you light it up, the mirror flips. You lose your mirror position. And that could just be this particular mirror, and I will fix it. I will put some, I'll probably put some RTV back there. Some silicone, just to give it some resistance so it doesn't flip. But you just passed a car on the interstate, and lo and behold, that mirror is now useless. So the other thing, and this is a big one, and this is a big one that they haven't quite fixed yet. And is it a Triumph issue, or is it a Brembo issue? Because Brembo makes the rear brake, and that is, it leaks air. Now, I've had the 2021 recall done. So the 1920 and the 2021, which this is, had a recall to where they replaced the master cylinder for the rear. And I had it done. And ever since the day that it's been done, the rear brake gets mushier and mushier over time. Now, we bled it 3 times, I think 3 times. And the third time it seems to have taken. Not sure why that is. It could be temperature related now that my garage seldom gets below 60 degrees. Maybe when it's cold and it sits, it sucks in air. As it's warmer, and metal expands when things are warmer, maybe it's expanded just enough to not take in air. I don't know. Triumph doesn't seem to know, or at least the dealership doesn't. There's other people with this issue, is that you can actually have no rear brake. The good news is, the Brembo front brake does just fine, all by itself. Here's something else you need to know. My bike, now the newer ones are coming with Metzler tires, and there's a reason. My bike came with these gorgeous, look at that flag on there, Avon Cobra chromes that were made specifically for this bike. They're actually really good, I think. Plus they're decorative. You got this cobra head right there. That's really cool. Couldn't get any last year, and from what I heard, they're done. Avon supposedly no longer making these tires. So you're either going to go with Metzler Cruise Techs, Metzler 888s, or I'm going to go slightly larger and get a Bridgestone Excedra Max when I wear this one out. I'm not quite there yet. At 5,000 miles, I clearly am not leaning over long enough to wear anything out. We'll see how long I have here. I'm going to guess I'll get about 8,000 out of these tires, and then they will be solidly done. So I better get some more on order. The engine. There are no nitpicks with this engine. This engine is absolutely a scream. Oh, wait. I do have a nitpick. Let's go around to the nitpick. See that oil? That's the oil cap. You can't get this oil at just any gas station. In fact, you can't get this oil at just any motorcycle dealership. It's a weird weight. I always get the one mixed up with the Moto Guzzi V85 because that one's a weird weight too. I'm thinking it's 15 weight 40. I'll correct myself right here if it's not. 15 weight 40 oil. Where do you get that at? The other thing is, it takes about 8 hours and 5 minutes to check the oil if your engine's warm. The oil checking process is strange because there is no sump under this bike. So it relies on a little bit of oil accumulating in this little pocket back here. And if you check it with the engine cold, without idling it first, it'll look like you've got way too much oil. If you check it with the engine hot, it'll look like you have no oil. You have to idle the engine for about 30 seconds without moving the throttle. Just let it idle until that entry-level noise goes away. And then you let it sit for 3 minutes or more. Then you may check the oil on the dipstick. That is the weirdest dang process I've ever heard for checking your oil on your bike. Very strange. Very strange. You're not going to be checking your oil in the middle of a trip on the road. You're going to have to wait overnight for it to cool. Yeah, so 5 minutes to check it if it's cold already. 8 hours, 5 minutes if the engine's already warm, like now. European bikes, I tell you, just strange. So, just like the V85 TT, the speedometer is way off. I think they speed limit you at about 138 miles for speed. But even if you hit that, you're not doing 138 because the speedometer's off by at least 6 miles per hour. Now, I'm going to hear it in the comments, oh, all bikes are that way. No, 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 not all bikes are that way. The Japanese are actually pretty particular about getting their speed spot on, as it should be. All my Goldwings were spot on with the speed. It matched the GPS within 1 mile per hour. So, once again, weird electronics from Europe. Comfort, it's actually really comfortable. The stock seat is good. I don't mind the stock seat at all. I might raise the bars a bit. My shoulders do get a little sore after a long day in the saddle. My fuel economy is actually pretty good. In fact, you'll see my average fuel economy right here is 40 miles to the gallon, and that's with some mountain riding going uphill right now. In fact, I better turn off that battery. If you're used to other bikes, this switch here is just weird. You got one switch to do everything with. You have power is on the up. You have fuel injector once. Start the bike after the fuel injector is ready twice. Just weird buttons here. Weird. That's Triumph for you. At least it's not a BMW. At least I don't have a wonder wheel over here to wonder what it's doing at the time. Now I do love, on the Rocket 3, heated grips are not buried in a menu. Heated grips are right here. Where else? On the grip. Wow. Who thought of that? Putting the button on the grip. That just makes too much sense. So that's where I got to hand it to Triumph. Thank you very much for even telling me, hey, look at that grip. That is a heated grip button. No manual required to figure that out. Okay, after all that belly aching, just need a moment of peace here. And now I'm going to cover up everything I just told you by saying that I do not regret the purchase of the Rocket 3 whatsoever. That engine is barely coming out of a yawn when you spike it and it passes whatever it is that was in your way originally. If it was a 2-trailered semi, it'll pass it, no problem. If it was a low-flying jet, it'll pass it, no problem. And the engine won't even complain or make a lot of noise about it. It is completely awesome that way. With these wide tires, you're also quite secure in high winds, and you're quite secure going faster than you should be, which you know you will, because that large tire patch on the ground it writes checks that it can cash, unlike so many other sport bikes that have 160 or more horsepower. So there's one last quibble now that I've had a moment of peace with my river, and that is the blinkers. So my blinkers usually work just fine. The blinkers are LEDs. And what's odd about the blinkers, though, is usually it happens when there's a cop right behind me and I'm showing how well I'm using my blinkers. One of the blinkers, the one I'm using, will suddenly give me a sign on the gauge that says, "Your blinker is out, please see manual," and it will flash really, really fast like you've got a bulb that's out. Well, you don't have a bulb. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bulbs in here. So how is one bulb out and then it's throwing a code? And the question is, am I still blinking if it says there's a bulb out, or left turn indicator is faulty or whatever? I've thought about changing it, but then it's different. It can be a different, it can be the rear that says that it's out. It can be the other side. And so that tells you that it's probably a loose connection inside the console here. And next time I see it happen, I tell you what, I'm just going to give it some percussive maintenance and see if that fixes it. That would tell me it's a loose connection inside. And so there you have it. There's my quibbles at 5,000 miles on the Rocket 3. And I'll tell you this, the loss of a rear brake can be a little disheartening. The rest of it I can live with. And for right now, the rear brake is holding for whatever reason. If the rear brake goes out again, I will flush the fluids again, this time myself. And I'll do it as often as I have to, because the bike is worth it. Thank you for watching Riding with Marshall.